Hello?
Soledad Bautista. Yeah, exactly. The one and only. And she has a story to tell, unlike others in town, because she came from different history, different past, different journey, but wound up on top anyway. And I want to start off by asking, what got you to wake up?
Well, actually, film is what got me to Waco. I had been a theater actor from high school and college, but it was nothing ever that I pursue professionally. But it's something that has been a very important part of my life. And then, being in Austin, I decided to go back into that part of my life because it was during the previous administration. And that was a very, very hard time for me, living in the U.S. by myself, without my family. And I went back to acting. And then because of that play that I was doing a theatrical reading in, I got the opportunity to be in a short film. And the short film ended up winning a ton of awards. And we had a nomination here for the Film Festival in Waco. And Elise Edwards came to see the showing, and she called Fiona Bond, who's the executive director of Creative Waco. And when she showed up, she started telling me about this project that they wanted to start and they wanted to bring here. And that project resonated a lot with a big idea, dream that I had from when I was 15 to 17 years old. And so when that got all put together, I got the offer to apply for the job, and here I am.
And just like that, it was a no-brainer, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And the dream, we'll dive more into the dream on how it meshed with the project, and if you even thought that was going to be possible, because it sounds like the dream originated a long time ago. And how did it come full circle? Did you see it coming, and how did it end up matching?
It's really interesting because it definitely was something that I didn't think it was going to happen. When I pitched the idea, it was for a class in civics back in Mexico. And it's like this kind of thing, like a Model UN situation that you do where you pitch a way that you could solve all the problems in the world. Yeah. And of course, you're 15, 17, and you're like, I'm going to change the world.
Yeah.
And it had to do with putting a workshop together where you bring artists and you bring business people to fix the world. Like the artists being the creatives and the business people being the ones that can have access to a lot of money. That's like the mindset from when I was very young. And the design thinking workshop that Fiona described it, that I was going to be a facilitator of, was a workshop where you bring creatives and business people and you have them find consensus and brainstorm and really solve a community issue. And it was just, from the conversation, it was like just unreal to now being able to facilitate it 3 different workshops, and 2 of them very successful, and like seeing the projects really come to life and like exist and like really creating like ripple effects of change all around you. It has been like very mind-blowing. I think it's an honor and it's a privilege and it's a beautiful thing to be able to have found a place where that idea that was birthed in my brain and my being so long ago could like really actually happen in the world and create change. So I don't know if I answered the question, but
you did. Well, and at this point now, you feel that you have enough so much momentum that's been created that you can go beyond your dreams and do something even bigger than what you were able to accomplish?
I think so. I really think that one of the things that made me stay in Texas, so this is my ongoing 14th year in Texas. And I was supposed to be here only for 3 years. But the realities of how Latino people are treated and how Mexicans are perceived and how my skin color is also a problem and how being proud of speaking Spanish is also a problem and it's something that people looks down to. It was something that, because I was born and raised in Mexico, it did not compute in my brain as something that from the stance of basic human rights should be something that exists for people. And so now I see that this model of design thinking is not just, it could be not only for community problem solving, but from problem solving period. I think that dialogue and understanding what consensus is and understanding that diversity and differences are what makes you richer and are really where the gems are at, because your lived experience is nothing like my lived experience, is nothing like my friend's lived experience, is nothing like Wacoans lived experience versus Austinites lived experience versus Hondurans lived experiences. So rather than looking at which one is the best lived experience, is what are the richnesses of each of the lived experiences. And now that we're in a space all together, how do we share from the richnesses that we have, not looking at what we lack, but at what we do have.
That's right. And would you say that the creative talents that you've been able to locate and the opportunities to draw people together from different demographics and stuff, you think that aided in being able to break certain barriers? That way we really get to the meat and potatoes, what we're here for, which is just to draw people together and create something new. Like, do you think that your history and background is and coming from where you come from has been a tool for, like, a powerful weapon to break the division that we got going around?
I absolutely think so. I think that I've had to do a lot of work in understanding really like who I am, what are the things that I'm good at, and what are the things that I really absolutely do not know and can be humble enough to say I don't know that, and then like learn from it, right? And so yes, like there's no possible pathway in my brain to feel like somebody can shame me into not speaking Spanish. There's no way that somebody can tell me that my skin color is problematic or bad and then I'm gonna believe it. It affects me, like, you know, like it hurts and it moves you, but it is something that I do see as an asset and most definitely a tool to any of the spaces that I can step in and I can walk in, because I don't think about those things as things that make me less than, but things that put me at an advantage, because I do the work of knowing what my vantage point is, and then I can understand somebody else's, even if it's not the same. So I think that is, in all honesty, like if you ask me like, what are the things that you do like good at your job, I have no idea. But my lived experience, my work here in Texas as an educator before, and then in acting, and then being in different spaces, make me really comfortable with uncomfortable conversations, and make me really comfortable challenging the things that need to be challenged, because an injustice is always an injustice, whether it's legal or not legal. Um, so yeah, the answer is yes.
And I'm wondering, what would you say was a highlight of your journey and your time putting in the work that you put in here? What's one thing that stands out as far as an accolade or accomplishment or a moment of great impact?
I think here in Waco is definitely seeing the cohort of Spanish speaking people. The 10 people that showed up for that cohort are 10 big pillars in this community that have experienced that oppressive system for many, many years. And so to see it in 3 days, their voices become louder and their passion like grew stronger. And then now seeing that the projects that came out of that cohort, both of them are alive and well and growing and kicking. It's like a huge accomplishment and a huge realization of like, sometimes that's all you need, right? Like somebody to tell you, you got this. And the fact that I get to do that for huge pillars in the community, and now I have the honor to continue supporting them in finding their voices and fighting stronger and fighting better and fighting together, that is monumental to me. I am humbled by it, and I am extremely proud that I got to do that. Not only because of the people in the cohort and because of the Latino aspect of it or the monolingual Spanish component to it, but because of the work that we did, we really wanted to make it inclusive. Like we wanted for other people to come and see our culture and our language and our traditions as something that it is to be valued and respected and honored and commemorated. And I think that really draws in anybody, like I know I have some of my Black friends that are Americans, to my Black friends that are Ghanaians, to my Black friends that are Nigerians. And so you start seeing how there's so many commonalities of things that can divide you or can unite you. And so for me, it's creating a bridge that is bridging a lot more than just part of the Latino culture, but culture in itself.
Gotcha. And then moving forward, because I mean, there's always another step to take. Is there anything specific that you're working on or you'd like to accomplish at this point as the next hill to climb?
Well, I've been focusing my conversation a lot on the design thinking workshop that I've been doing. But there's another aspect that is part of my role in Creative Waco, which is the NEA grant funding. And I've met with many, many people, and many people end up not applying. And so I'm having to revisit the way and how I'm working on that, because the aspect of the workshop is something that I'm extremely passionate about and I can put my whole self in. The grant is how do I get people to get passionate enough to submit a project and to see the project through, as you know.
Yeah.
And the benefits and the ripple effects that in its own creates. So on the air front or the workshop, I want to be able to bring it to more places in Texas, both in English and in Spanish or bilingually. And on the NEA re-granting front, I want to get more artists of color or artists of minorities or women artists to really put their voices and their projects out there, because they are needed. They're needed here.
That's right. And then lastly, because everybody has a message, okay, I would want to know what your particular message would be, just to not only minorities, but just people who need to be able to express themselves and haven't had the opportunity to or don't know how to do that.
Oh, that's a big one. I think that in any role where you are a public servant, or where you are a person that kind of works with inspiration and humanity in general, I would invite to anyone that has access to large groups of people to start from love and empathy, and to know that the path that you're walking is not just for you, it's just so that you can invite somebody else to walk that path, and it'll be a little easier.
Well, I think you just gave the blueprint on that, so easy to follow. So, well, thank you for definitely coming on the show. And I'm pretty sure that anybody who watches the show, sees the episode, and hears everything you said, including the exclamation mark at the end, is going to feel like they want to get up and do something and strive for what they were feeling inside. So, appreciate that. And Electric Ground, we're out.